Well, hello everyone, Texie88 here and welcome to another review. And now we're taking a look at Matrix, aka Matrix Gridrunner 2 for the Sinclair ZX Spectrum. Like its predecessor, it was the brainchild of Jeff Minter and although it says 1983 up there, it looks like this particular version actually came out in 1984, which was a year after the Spectrum version of the previous Gridrunner game. Unlike its predecessor, which fits into 16K of RAM, this sequel does not and needed 48K, bearing in mind that the 128K Spectrum didn't exist until a couple of years later. It looks like this game also came out on the Commodore Plus 4 and the Commodore 64. So it looks like we've got it looks like it's got the same stupid QA IPO for up, down, left, right fire that was used in the previous game. I can't say I'm looking forward to that. I found that really not particularly helpful. To me it doesn't fit easily in the hand the way, say, QA, OP or space or something along those lines would have done. I don't quite know why they went for a fire button between left and right. But at least, unlike the previous game, which came with no instructions, you had to figure it out on your own, at least this one actually tells you, which is a bit of an improvement. And it looks, according to that scrolling message, as if there are 20 stages in this sequel. So you're trying to free all 20 grid sectors will be blasted to alien hell. In the 10 years after the Grid Wars, presumably 10 years since what happened in the previous game, intergalactic tension increased until the fears of mankind were realised and the droids returned with superior weaponry to attack the grid. Can you free all? Well, we've been all through all that. And it looks like you can actually choose your start level in this, which is... So you can only select one of the first 6 levels to start from. The others you have to generally go through yourself. And it's already set to keyboard, so let's get going. Enter zone 1. Oh my god. Considering that this is a 48K a game that required 48K, whereas the previous game only worked in 16K, I personally think the sound in that previous game was better than it is in this. I mean... Ooh, cool. God, I'm really struggling to hit this last enemy. Ah, got it. I'm worried about that laser below me, because if that beam hits me like that, then I'm going to die. But at least this has the ability to look at levels other than... Oh, sugar. Among the first 6, so even if I were to die on this, I can have another go at starting at a level after, up until that point. So I do intend to do that in this review to get a better feel of what this is like. But oh, I'm sure. Why can you only fire one bullet at a time? Oh God. So, like its predecessor, it's obviously inspired by Centipede. God, it's hard to gauge where you need to stand. Well, not stand, but place yourself if you've got them going diagonally, which they start go diagonally when they hit the bottom of the screen there. It's hard. It's generally hard to gauge where they're going to be when they move diagonally anyway. Okay, let's try starting from level 3. Since we got to stage 2 just then. Oh. Now that guy at the top of the screen there is it's called the Snitch, and if you stay put, the idea is if you stay put, then he basically snitches on your position and points you out. Be warned, if the gun at the bottom of the screen it again goes beneath you while he's doing that, it will shoot you. So these are cameloids, and they give you 106 points every time you defeat one of them. And while you're in stages like this, your score counts down. So it's very easy to end up with no points at the end of a stage like this, and which is also not helped by the fact you can only fire one bullet at a time. See, but because I stayed where the Snitch was pointing me out, that low laser thing zapped me the moment it got underneath me. So you've got to watch out for where that Snitch is, amongst other things. Oh, damn, I didn't move quickly enough. The Snitch got in the right position just in the nick of time there. Oh, I've got to watch out for that Snitch. Oh, God, nearly died then. But unlike the regular ships, cameloids do not kill you if they touch you. They just change direction and go the other way. So you don't have to worry about getting killed by touching them. They won't harm you. Oh God, reflecting reflecting. Now you have to be very careful with those, because if they're positioned in certain ways, then they can deflect your own shot right back at you. But again, I forgot to keep an eye on that wretched Snitch. There's a lot to keep an eye on in this game, but at least it's made the most of the advanced memory and put some extra things in to differentiate it from Centipede. So this is definitely an improvement over the first Gridrunner game. So hard when they're going diagonally. It's probably best not to shoot at those too much, because it can get a bit dangerous. If you could fire more frequently, it'd be so much easier to hit those things. I just got to watch out for that Snitch. Oh, Jesus. Go on, you got hit by one. Okay, now I reached zone 5 just then, so only thing left to try now is to start from the level 6. so I can't start at any level later than 6. So I'll be finishing the review after this. So there's we got the cameloids again. Bit of an odd score to get for shooting something. 106. Oh shit! That damn snitch. But again, the sound's really quite sparse. I mean, this 48K Spectrum has more memory, and there's so much action in this. It could have done with more sound, just to liven it up a bit more. It's a bit of an empty experience. God, it's so hard to hit these things because you can't fire very quickly. God. Oh, God. That damn snitch is a pain. Oh, God. Oh, that was the last enemy in that zone. Of course, you have to start all over again if you lose the life. Well, all over again from the start of that stage. It was so annoying because I just managed to whittle it down to the last enemy. Ooh, oh, that... It's those yellow orbs that appear either from those side or bottom bottom lasers or when you shoot an enemy. If you leave them for a while, they turn into bombs that head straight down. And if see, you just saw one pass to the left of me just then, and to the right of me just then. Oh, for goodness sake! You need to be able to fire more quickly. So that's Matrix for the ZX Spectrum. As I said, especially by the fact that it says Gridrunner 2 in the top right corner there, it's the sequel to Gridrunner. And I'm pleased to say that this is more enjoyable than the first Gridrunner game. Although this does still have some faults that make it less enjoyable than it could have been. Graphics again are fairly basic, but then it probably meant that they could get more into the game and just as much on the screen as in the previous game. And of course, there's the Spectrum's attribute limitations, which would have meant that there would have been some clash if they'd been a bit too adventurous with the visuals. At least they managed to get a fair bit of colour in it, and I don't think I ever saw any attribute problems. And it seemed to run a little bit smoother than the first game as well. Sound, pretty disappointing. Like the previous game, it's only really when you're firing or when you get blow up. Apart from that, that's about it. I mean, it really could have done with some more sound to make the overall experience even livelier. I mean, with the previous game, maybe they didn't have enough space because they had to fit it into 16K, but this game wouldn't fit into 16K anyway. So, and I do wonder whether they really ran out of space this time. Couldn't they have put a bit more in the way of sound in it? Gameplay. Well, there's more variety in this than there was in the first game, and it certainly helps the fact that it's got more memory to play with than the first game did. It's just a shame it's got that that slightly disappointing keyboard layout of having the fire button between left and right. I'm not massively keen on that. And I also would have preferred it if you could fire more rapidly than in this. You can only fire one shot at a time, just like in the previous game, and that's not very helpful, especially with how fast this game goes. Especially, and even more so when you've got the enemies that are going diagonally and they're hard enough to read it as it is. But at least this doesn't feel quite so much of a Centipede clone as the first game does. So I'm going to give Matrix for the Spectrum 7 out of 10. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that review. Catch you on another video soon. Texie88 out.